Yeah,
Well, I'm a Mavs fan, and I still can't talk about Luka without crying. So,
Oh yeah.
Oh, man, you were done dirty by that one. So I'll give, yeah.
It's Brunson came from the Mavs. Texas gave New York Brunson.
Hey everyone, we have two very special guests for you today on the Two Texas Teas podcast. One of them is a candidate running for Congress, and another one is a candidate running for State House, a father-son duo. We have Matthias Early and Justin Early. And today we're going to get into a discussion about what it's like being a candidate in Central Texas, what are some of the big themes and issues that people bring up, and what the future looks like for the Dems in Texas. So let's get into it.
Let's go.
So, hey, Justin, hey, Matthias, how y'all doing today? Hope everything is good. Let's go ahead and just jump right into it. I guess, Justin, you can go first. I'll let the dad go first. Tell me about yourself. Tell me why you're running for office. Tell me what your professional background and what's the motivation.
Sure. Yeah. Again, thank you very much for you guys having me here, having us here. We're honored to be here on Two Texas Teas. Amazing podcast and amazing platform. So thank you for allowing us to be on here. My name is Justin Early. I am a father. As you can see, my son is here with us. I am a husband. I'm a cybersecurity expert, and I'm also the Democratic nominee for Texas's 31st Congressional District. So I grew up in this district. So the district comprises of 7 different counties. The majority of the people reside in Bell County and Williamson County. And I started my elementary school in Bell County in Killeen in People's Elementary. And now then I graduated high school in Leander, which is in Williamson County. And so I like to say and let people know that I'm a child of this district. This is where I grew up. This is my home. There's a lot of veterans in this community as well. And I also am a veteran. My parents were in the military. My father was stationed at Fort Hood. And that's what brought us here. And then I joined the Army myself. I do like to joke with people I was 6'2" when I joined the Army, because I'm not today. I was a paratrooper, and a lot of hard jumps, contributed to my compactness. But after I was a paratrooper, I was at the Pentagon for the Defense Intelligence Agency, and I really got to understand how the government worked. After that, I left and I came back to Texas, and I raised my family. I have my wife and we've raised 7 children together. He is the youngest of all these, of my children. And so we're here, and we're trying to make a difference. I'm not a career politician. And so one of the things that I said is, how do we make something different? How do we make something change? And how could I expect a change, or how can I expect something different if I don't do something different? So this is my doing something different. I see families just like mine struggling every day because housing is unaffordable. It's out of reach. We have healthcare, which is almost unattainable. People are only going to the emergency room because they can't afford it. They're making decisions between rent and health. And for the most industrialized, the most advanced country in this world, as we like to tout ourselves to be, it's an atrocity to have these things. And so when I look about the government, it should be working for people, and we should be out there supporting those who need the most support. We have a current incumbent here today who's over this district, who's been here for 13 terms, which is he's been serving for 25 years now. And a lot of the same issues that happened, over the last 20, 10, and 5 years ago are the exact same. And so we weren't getting real representation in this area. So I wanted to stand up and say, at the very least, we need to have our voices heard. And since I'm that child of the district, since I grew up here, and this is where my family is, I want to do the best I can to represent this district.
We love to see it, Justin.
Thank you.
And now, Matthias, thank you for joining us today. And let's go into your history. Tell us a little bit more about yourself.
As the youngest child, we want to hear all about what experiences you had that influenced you to be here. I'm an eldest, so I'd love to hear it.
Okay, so I'll say, as the youngest, though, I have always been the child that's just been like right next to my father.
He was always right here. Yeah, always right here.
But a little bit more history. So I'm 21 years old, so I don't have too much of a history. But ever since I was 8 years old, I wanted to be a doctor. That was my big dream. I want to be a doctor. So I made it to high school. I was doing good, getting good grades. I studied phlebotomy, EKG, PCT, MT. And after being trained in all those things, I started working at the hospital. I worked, all these different healthcare professions. And I realized I wanted to be a doctor because I want to help people for that, cliche reason. And then I realized I could do more through politics. So I changed my major to political science. I specifically studied democratic systems, democratic philosophy, because I wanted to understand how we could move beyond our current system. Because most Americans, left or right, will tell you this system is not working for them. So we need to evolve beyond it. And I start because people always, have this idea about Democrats. Oh, they don't love the country. They just want to throw everything away. So I start and I say, one thing I love about this country is at our inception, we came and we brought new ideas from all over the world. We brought ideas from Native Americans, Africa, Asia, Europe, and we thought to ourselves, how can we move into a better system? And that's how we got separation of church and state, civil liberties. Oh my goodness, a couple others that are escaping me right now. But anyways, new ideas, new thoughts, which is what gave us our Constitution. Separation of powers, of course. And now here we are. We see the separation of powers being infringed upon. We see the separation of state being attacked in Texas now that they have to post the 10 Commandments in every classroom. And not only that, but where are the new ideas? Where are the new things? Where is ranked choice voting? Where is, how can people be more involved in their democracy? Because what we've seen in the last 50, 60 years of technology is technology has been increasingly delivered to isolate you from your community. Amazon, it's so you don't have to go to the grocery store anymore. Delivery, social media. Now I don't have to go out and do all these things. I can just scroll right here and be on my phone, be in my own world. You can work from home now. You don't have to go into the office. You don't have to meet these new people. So democracy is fundamentally at stake the way we've been practicing it. So we need to understand and come up with new ideas to get people civically engaged. Because democracy isn't at the ballot box. It's in your conversations, your relationships. Democracy can't just be political. It also has to be economic, and it also has to be social.
Hey everyone, thank you for coming to our ad break. This is for all the folks that would love to be a part of our Two Texas Tea podcast in a way such as sponsoring. So if you are interested in wanting to be a part of the podcast and share your information about your business or what you're doing, you can always send us your inquiry or your interest by going to emailing us on our email address right here below, or following us on social media and sending us a message, or checking out our website. So we hope to hear from you soon, and we would love to be able to showcase what you're doing. I couldn't agree with you more, and I think that it's honorable for you to go from one type of life-saving occupation to wanting to pursue something a lot more organic, and it definitely can tell that you have the type of character that you're running towards fires, not away from it, and we need more of that in our politicians. So congratulations, both of y'all, because I know too intimately that it is one of the most scariest things to not just declare that you're going to run for office, but then to actually put yourself out there. So it's awesome that you guys are on this journey together.
Thank you. Yeah, we enjoy it.
So tell me, how has it been so far? Justin, you mentioned you're from here, you know these people. Matthias, you've obviously grown up in this community too. What are you seeing that are some of the critical needs for your community that you want to say, hey, this is what we need to address on day one that's maybe been overlooked? I know both of y'all had talked about healthcare and just the basic rights. For those that are new to this, and for you all too, I lost my mom to a healthcare system. My mom was denied access to affordable health care, and she literally died on her way to a hospital going from Corpus to Houston because she just couldn't afford it. Affordable health care for her was $1,700 a month. She couldn't afford that. And because she had a pre-existing condition that she was born with. It's not that she chose this, it was a life, a life-changing event where maybe she was a chain smoker and then all of a sudden she just had chronic lung disease. No, she was literally born with a heart condition. So it's nothing that she could have had any type of control over. And yet our system denied her access to affordable health care. And I know that for me, it was my situation of losing my mom to a systematic issue is not an outlier of a situation. And I think we saw a lot of this with COVID. It just brought these problems out of the shadows and into the light. Housing, affordable housing being one of it. Our houseless community, it increased how much of a living wage is actually a livable wage, right? These became sincere issues that we just never really had a way to address. So I'm curious, what are you seeing in your community, and what are some different approaches that you want to do in order to address these issues? Justin, we'll start with you.
Great question. It's hard to pick the number one issue to tackle on day one because the biggest issues that we have at risk take the longest time to deal with. And all of the things that we're talking about are really a exasperation of the overabundance of wealth of billionaires and trillionaires. And healthcare is unaffordable because companies want to make money off of your life and your death. Food is unaffordable for some people because they make money off of raising the cost of food. So when we talk about healthcare specifically, an insurance company is not a life-saving company. It's not a
Right.
healthcare company. It is a money-making endeavor. And they make money on denying people care. And so we talk about universal healthcare. We talk about Medicare for all. Any system that has an insurance company attached to it should not be a healthcare company. Full stop. The healthcare companies are only there to make money and to deny you care. With your mother's example, we see way too many of that in Texas.
Mhm.
And so when we knock doors and we talk with people, healthcare is always number one. But second to that is, houses and housing affordability, food and food affordability. There's so much, and job security. There's so much here at risk. But if we take a step back and say, what is the largest issue that's really at risk here? And it's our freedoms. And when you talk about the billionaires and the trillionaires, they have the most freedom of anyone in the entire world. And we're continually getting further and further and further away from that ideal. And if we're allowing these people to run away with this money and run away with taking things that we should honestly have ourselves, we're all going to suffer. And we're seeing that today. One thing that we say and we talk about often is, we're all inside of this bubble and we see the outside of the bubble, things that we don't want to be at. We see the scarcity of food. Thank goodness we had a meal last night. We see the scarcity of housing. And man, it rained and thank goodness I have a roof over my head. But what we don't realize is that bubble is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And as we find ourselves closer to the edge, then we start concerning ourselves with what are the policies keeping me safe? What are the politicians doing to, enact for make sure that this bubble stops restricting? At the same time, we're seeing people tout a trillionaire on the news and on TV who has the most freedom of anybody in the entire country. We tout influencers or people who are, making money off of doing things that we'd like to do. So then we aim at that, which distracts us from achieving some of the other things that we could be achieving. And I only say that because where we're aiming at, what we're doing is our priorities are in the wrong spot. If we have policies written that actually protects everyone, regardless of what you're doing and how you're doing it, then everybody can rise, to the top. If we make sure everybody's fed, we can make sure everybody gets education, everybody gets healthcare, we can make sure everything that is achievable in this country is actually achievable. And we can become the land of abundance again.
So I
I
wanted
love
to
that. And
ask,
Matthias, and
go ahead.
oh, go for it, Don. Sorry.
I was
broke
going to
my
ask
own rule.
Matthias. You're good. You're good. One of the hardest things about being a business owner, about selling a product or service, is getting those customers. Well, do I have a plan, an idea, a deal for you? And what we're doing is we're reaching out to people wanting to see if you would be interested in being a sponsor, a launch sponsor for our podcast. We have a number of ad packages, whether you only want 30 seconds, a minute, 30 seconds, or you want us to mention your product, your business, your nonprofit, your service throughout the entire episode or season. Check the link attached, link in the bio, link where it is. I think it should be somewhere in the bottom, and let's get to work. Let me ask you, Matthias, so your family, I guess Justin, I can see that you're very civic oriented. So Matthias, you went into wanting to be a doctor, but your ultimate goal is to help people in general. What are some kind of being 21, I guess you have a different perspective on how races are run. What are some things that you're trying to practice right now that might be a little bit different from how people traditionally run for office? What are some of those techniques and practices?
So I'll start by saying one thing. The Texas legislature is part-time. They only meet for 6 months every 2 years. And they also make $600 a month. So people see that and they're like, oh, great, my politicians, they're not making a bunch of money. They're not spending all their time doing this, blah, blah, blah. But we also have to think, what kind of position does this put the politicians in? So first of all, that means if you're running for the Texas legislature, you are likely retired. You're likely a lawyer with your own business. You are somebody that can take 6 months out of the year and then just go do something else. And what that means is we only have a small minority of the population actually being represented in politics. It is also known as the silver-haired legislature. So the biggest thing for me is, what are young people concerned about? And yes, we're concerned about healthcare. Yes, we're concerned about education rights. We're concerned about all this. But the biggest thing is, where are we going to be 20, 30 years from now? Because AI is moving at such an incredible rate. There was talks of Microsoft CEO saying his goal is to make sure all white collar jobs are gone within the next 18 months. So where does that leave us? In a system that relies on exploiting people's labor, where are people when they can no longer have labor to sell? So there's many aspects. I'd like to go back to what you were saying. Thank you actually for telling that story about your mother, because I think the reason why our democracy is so hard right now is because people aren't willing to be vulnerable and be open about their experiences. And The biggest thing about the healthcare is this is not the cost of drugs. They make these drugs for a few dollars, yet they sell them for hundreds. They had the California bill and the Texas bill recently that capped the price of insulin at $30 a month, when previously they were getting charged hundreds. People were dying because somebody looked at their pocketbook and said $1 billion is not enough. I want 10. That is simple. That is it. And as far as trillionaires go, now that we are in that age, it is impossible to spend $1 trillion on yourself. There is not enough food you could buy. There is not enough parties you can have. All that money gets you is power over other people. And this is what I mean by the democracy of our economy. Because we can't all have equal voice in where we go and what we do if we all are being oppressed by the same economic giants. And that's what we see in our corporations nowadays. And not only do we see us being oppressed, our labor being exploited, we're seeing the middle class shrink. We're seeing younger people don't have the same opportunities that their parents had. And that's what I want to say is that is the scariest thing for young people, is not just where am I going to be in 20 years, but where is our system going to be? Because right now we have all these scientists, all these, computer engineers, all these software engineers that are moving this ball so quickly. But right now, technology is evolving faster than our philosophy. How can we actually think about people? Because at the end of the day, that's what our system is for. It's not about making money. It's not about having a giant military complex or a giant prison complex. It's about taking care of people. And exactly what you were saying before is we have this bubble. And whenever one person starts a business, innovates, they get a bunch of money. And that's great. I'm not saying we should stop them from getting money. But at the same time, the CEOs, they need some farmer to grow their food. They need the fast food worker to prepare it. They need the construction workers to pave their roads and build their houses. They're not just one entity that built a business and now it's doing great. They're relying on a system that supported that, a system that supported their employees' employees. Everybody is connected in this. And for some reason, we've only focused on, look how much money Jeff Bezos has. Look how much money Elon Musk has. I don't care about these corporations. I care about my neighbors. I care about people who are lifting this up, but getting burned at the same time.
I think you bring up a great point. And, it's funny because we have politicians, myself included, anytime we get on our soapbox, we talk about the folks that are having to pick between getting that prescription or putting food on the table. I was that kid. I saw my mom literally ask for loaner pills so she could just be able to get through the rest of the month before insurance would cover the next set of pills. Like I saw it firsthand, and it's a struggle, right? I think it's super critical that we have both of you all as facets to the diamond that really understand several different perspectives. I mean, Matthias, you said it. Like, your generation is looking for the future. I am a mom of a Gen Alpha. Like, I have an 11-year-old kid, and some days I regret bringing another soul into this earth because the earth is on fire. And then most days I'm anxious to know what is it that we're leaving for them. And we need voices that are young enough to be advocates now and start rooting themselves now to be able to create that sustainable future for the next generation after you all. Like right now you're the young generation, but you're eventually going to be, on this end of the spectrum and be like, oh my God, like first you roll your eyes at the millennials and then all of a sudden you become the millennial, because I feel the same way I rolled my eyes at the boomers and now I apparently am geriatric. So like I get it. And then, but like also Justin, like you have, like you're a dad of 7, correct? You also have these very similar anxieties of like you raised your kids under one like perception of what the future was supposed to look like, and what a 180 it has been. I mean, I want to take a step back and also just acknowledge and give my respect for you as a veteran and the service that you gave. And also a belated Happy Father's Day, because like you are doing the most. The amount and the gravity of life that you have seen, that you also take into your fight for this seat, and also the experiences that you have shared with Matthias, I feel like these are the voices that we need to have in office because you understand it. And so I'm just fangirling over both of y'all actually right now.
Thank you. I just want to make one quick comment on that is, my position of being a father of 7, I can see the stratification within my own kids, I can see some of them who've graduated college and do well, some of them who've, gone to college and not doing as well, right?
Yeah.
And it's like their opportunities are it's almost a roll of the dice. I mean, my children were raised in a very nice area. They got good educations, but some of them still are subject to the same systems that we're complaining about. And a lot of people will tell you, go to college and do these things. That is not the determining factor if you're going to be successful or not. I have a son who has a 6-figure job. He does great for himself, cannot afford a house where he lives. I have a daughter who's earned almost the same paycheck for the last 10 years exactly, right? And is excited because she may be getting $1 an hour raise. That this is the difference we're seeing. And when people say, drink less coffee or pack your lunch, they have zero idea of what it takes to actually live in this society. And from my perspective, I can see it with my own children.
No, my husband and I say that all the time because he's a civil engineer. And I remember when he was in college and we were just like, man, once we make like 80 grand, we're going to be like so set. And then we got there and it's just like, well, now the like area median income for you to be able to like have a house is like 125. Then we got to that and we're just like, oh my God, why are we still like chasing our tail? And then today we saw an article that in order to have a sustainable, like healthy, like quality of life here in San Antonio, you have to be making $250,000. And San Antonio is supposed to be an affordable economic community. Like that
That's
is
chump
not
change, ain't it?
not in San Antonio when the average area median income for San Antonio and New Braunfels, and New Braunfels is a lot more affluent, like is I think right now it's like $75,000. But just for San Antonio, it's anywhere between $45,000 and $55,000 of an area median income. You like that is $200,000 away from the mark that they need in order to have a comfortable quality of life. That is insane. And so we see that, and then we see a generation, Matthias, like you, like my son that's coming right behind you. What is it going to be by the time that they get that you all like that he gets to being a working age, right? And you're seeing it now of like you talked about it, $600 a month. When are we going to start asking more and putting more pressure into our politicians to work and also pay them to work? We saw that in San Antonio. We increased the pay for city council, but now there's an expectation that it is not a part-time job, that they have to work they're on the clock 7 days a week. They're in public service. There are no days off. When the fire hits, you better be ready. And that should be the expectation we have on our politicians.
So
I went on a tangent.
I know you're good. I was going to add. So as far as Texas 31 Congressional District, so a few weeks ago, we had an interview with 2 Democratic county chairs in Burnett County. So I believe Burnett County is Texas 31 Congressional District. That is traditionally a Republican district or seat. So I wonder, as far as Justin and Matthias, like, what are you trying to do some things to try to bring out more voters that would be either absolutely Democrat and just don't want to vote, or people who might be on the fence and considering, well, maybe I might switch parties? Like, what are some of the things you're saying? What are some of the things you're saying to those people?
And also gerrymandering. I'd also like to get like to kind of like on that same idea, like what has like the whole gerrymandering of your district done and influenced for you all in your race?
This is more towards me. You want me to answer, Matthias, or do you want to take something first?
Answer.
Okay. So 2-part question. First part is Burnett County is traditionally a Republican county, as you stated. That is not true. Texas is not a Republican state either. It's a non-voting state. The most
Correct.
things, what we see is that people don't get out to go vote. And what we saw in the primary was that people were so fed up and frustrated that, they went out and voted. Quick little inside baseball, whenever you run for politics or for, run, there's a win number that you have. And so you aim everything at this win number. And for Texas 31, for the congressional seat, it was about 12,000, which means historically, if you got 12,000 votes in the primary, you would win your primary to move on to the general. So our team, we aimed at 15,000 and said, we're going to buy lit for 15,000, knock doors for 15,000, like phone calls for 15,000. That's the aim we're going to do, 15,000. When we got done with the primary, 55,000 people voted in the Democratic primary.
Wow.
There are 40,000 people that we had zero idea to go out and talk to, right? So when we talk about talking to people here in the general and what we're going to do, it's really aiming at that. How do we know we're going to reach people that we never thought we would reach before? So what we're doing in Burnett County specifically, we have lots of communications out there with people. We do what happened to me, what happened in the civil rights movement. We had block captains, we had call trees, you knew your neighbor. We're asking people to understand and know their neighbors, because those are the people who are going to trust you to say you're going to go out and vote. Now, I will also say, with Ken Paxton being the top of the ticket on the Republican side, he turns a lot of people off. And a lot of people didn't vote in the Republican primary. And then those who did vote were very staunchly supportive of him. But people who would have voted for Cornyn in the general or voted for someone more moderate in the generals, they stayed home or they didn't vote at all in the primary. So due to the system and how the system's built, Ken Paxton rose to the top. And so now I think he's actually a detriment. He actually pulls down the Republican Party. So in both of our districts, this is like an R+10, right? Where Republicans win 10 points above the Democrat. And with Ken Paxton at the top of the ticket, he pulls that down to where now it's like an R+1 or R+2. So that means there's 2 percentage points that we have to probably get over to win in this district. Gerrymandering, though, is really a big part of that because they cut the lines in order to make it harder for you to get those points that you need to get. However, in Texas 31 specifically, MJ Hagar ran in 2018, and she came within 3 points of winning and beating John Carter. And so they're concerned for this district where they gerrymandered it back in 2021, first opportunity they had after the census. They gerrymandered and pulled Killeen out of that district. As I said, I grew up in Killeen, so now in 2025, for this cycle, they added Killeen back into this district. And that's a lot of Black and brown community, a lot of veteran communities who were previously not represented by somebody close and near to them because their representation last cycle was all the way from Killeen to Midland. And that distance is extreme. And the individual who was running there lived in Midland. He had nothing to do with here. It was just to water down the numbers in order to make sure John Carter kept his seat. So this time that they've actually added Killeen back in, they've actually made it very competitive, especially for somebody who is Black, who is a veteran, who is a father, and who has lived in this area and understands it.
Hey everyone, thank you for coming to our ad break. This is for all the folks that would love to be a part of our 2 Texas Tea podcast in a way such as sponsoring. So if you are interested in wanting to be a part of the podcast and share your information about your business or what you're doing, you can always send us your inquiry or your interest by going to emailing us on our email address right here below, or following us on social media and sending us a message, or checking out our website. So we hope to hear from you soon, and we would love to be able to showcase what you're doing. Matthias, so I know, and I don't think that we mentioned this, Don, at the beginning, but Justin, you're running for the U.S. Congress seat. Matthias, what are you running for? I don't think that we mentioned this.
So, State House, Texas.
State House, okay.
U.S. House, Texas.
Perfect.
Gotcha.
At the state level, there's a pretentious governor's race. We mentioned, new district attorney coming in. We very interested to see kind of like the overall who came out for the runoffs this last May. My months are blending together. What are you, like, as far as at the state level, we have women's rights continuing to be attacked. IVF, apparently now we went from like pro-life to just fuck women together. Like they're finally saying the ugly things out loud. And I'm going to say that I'm going to be very blunt. IVF is now getting attacked on top of everything else with women's health care. To be poor is a problem that they just don't want to take care of. So we're going to stop doing that too. We have data centers that are definitely impeding every single area that, if there is an acre of land, there won't be tomorrow kind of situation. So environmental impacts also, our water is also, being threatened and at risk. There's a lot coming at the state level. It's heavy. We talk about what the future is going to look like for the next 10, 20, 30 years, right? And that being the concerns of the younger voters. How are you going to navigate that? Like, because those are some stresses that's going to be at the doors of your constituents, and especially those in rural communities that they're not realizing they're going to go from rural to a metro city to complete urban planned. And so we see it all the time. What are some of the things and the constraints that you're going to want to help navigate at the state level?
So one of the big things is whenever people talk about analysis of how the Republican Party has won rural voters so well, is because Republicans have marketed themselves as the small business,
as a yeehaw.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of these people who live in rural communities, they don't want to have to deal with changes every single year, corporations coming in, going out. They live in those areas because they want stability. And the biggest thing that I'm seeing for them is we are no longer about stability from the government. With the government, I don't want the government involved in my life. I don't want corporations involved in my life. And now, because they're building up these metro cities, they're creating these data centers, they're moving to these people's places, and that's what they don't like. So next 20 or 30 years, the biggest thing I want to see for Texas is for us not to be the next Rust Belt. Because they went into those areas, they built the factories. As soon as there was a cheaper place to build factories, cheaper place to manage them, they moved it. In Texas, where Abbott wants to be the #1 state for data centers, data center technology only lasts about 3 years.
Right.
And they have to replace everything else. So the question is, if these data centers are going to move in the same direction computers have, which is get smaller and smaller, why are we going to sacrifice our environment now so that they can move somewhere else later? That's the biggest question for me. And not only that, but more of an existential crisis for AI is what is our capitalist system at if we can no longer sell our labor? If AI is cheaper than me, why are they going to hire me? And they talk about universal basic income. They talk about, AI is going to fix all of our healthcare. It's going to cure cancer, which I think is great. But my question is, look at what AI is doing now. It's not curing cancer. They're not using to help people. In fact, there's been people who have been committing suicide because of what their chatbots are telling them. And the conversation is always, we don't have to do safety procedures because we need to evolve. We need to grow it faster and faster. And safety is going to slow us down. And we have to do it without safety because China's doing it without safety. My question is, when are we going to look at this as an issue of Texas in itself, in the US in itself, and say we need to protect us. Regardless of what China's doing, we need to protect us. And this is more of a national thing. But if this technology is as dangerous as people say it is, we need to make sure that we as governments are coming together internationally to make sure this is for the people. Because I can so clearly see if it continues in the direction that it is, it's not going to be your healthcare is cured. You don't have to do anything. All you get to do is leisure and, fun all the time. What we've seen is it replace people's artist jobs. That's what people wanted to do. It hasn't done my dishes. It hasn't done my laundry. It hasn't swept my floors. So
it's not drinking my champagne either, Matthias. It's okay.
Not yet. Once they figure out how to cool computers with champagne, it's next,
Let me tell you, if it can, it saved me the headaches in the morning, but it's okay.
But so my point is now we're on the trajectory of AI not for the people. It's going to be for the few people, the corporations, the CEOs. And I want to make sure that Texas livelihoods, even if jobs are at risk of AI 20 to 30 years from now, we have to make sure people's livelihoods are not, and that we are protected as people.
So I'm going to play, whenever we have people who are talking about politics and government, I like to play devil's advocate. So bear with me now.
He's Jackal, I'm Hyde.
Exactly. So I'm going to say for the audience that the political system in the United States and especially Texas is perfect. I don't want everybody to have a say in their government. I actually just want the few group of people that I can consistently count on to vote for me into office. I would like for my districts to stay pretty gerrymandered because I don't really want all these new people popping up. Yeah, I guess during the primaries, we have 55,000 people come out and vote in Dems. But, generally, I don't think they're going to show up when it comes to the general election. I think they'll go back home. I will say, despite all the problems that Texas may say, or you might say Texas has, economy might be booming. It seems like people generally like their quality of life here. There are still people from out of state that are moving in droves. So you could essentially say, yeah, I mean, we have a little bit of problems here with healthcare there, but no state is perfect. And generally, Texas is a great state to live. I mean, it's cheaper to live in Texas than maybe you could say California or New York, at least in some parts of New York. So everything's really good and perfect. But now I see two candidates that want to change that. And then the vision that you're selling is a better one, a more holistic one, but maybe I don't want holistic. I just want no changes, actually. I just want things to stay the same. So I guess, Justin or Matthias, Matthias, let you go with that. Like the current state of affairs is fine. Why do I need to change the world order?
So if you're talking about the economy, if you're talking about, we're in this correct trajectory, things are going to change regardless. Technology is changing. That's going to change us. And people are moving into Texas. Our economy is booming. But just because the bubble is getting smaller and it's still within Texas is still inside of it, doesn't mean eventually we're not going to be on the outside. And people are coming in and the economy is doing great. But for who? Because I talk to the people in the constituency and they say, I don't have enough money for healthcare. They say, my job doesn't pay enough for me to get by. I can't afford a house. So the economy is doing great. But for who?
And then
I think that's perfect.
Justin?
You go and you have to shut the grumpy Don up with that one. Who's this for? The old geezer Don at the door.
Hey, I feel like Texas is a perfect state to live. I don't see why we need to change anything. It is. I don't, all these things. We're never really going to have a good healthcare system. So AI, we need to be on the forefront of AI. We can't let China overtake us. I mean, yeah, gerrymandering might sound bad, but I don't really want everybody in Texas to have a voice. Like, I just want a few people to have a voice. Like, I don't. Why do we change this stuff?
That's
So I
more
guess
right.
I speak for the people who are in the silent majority, as they say. They don't.
Well, I mean, and Justin, you're running to have your colleagues be that voice when you get up, at the US level, right? So how are you going to combat all the kind of like the NIMBYism, but at a national level?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's part of I'm going to disagree that everything is perfect, because the status of the United States is that we have a perfect idea, and we're always chasing this ideal of what perfection is. And
Yeah.
perfection continually moves. However, we've been really stagnant recently on moving towards that perfection. And in some cases, we're moving backwards from that, those protections.
Women's rights.
When we got rid of Section 3 of the Voting Rights Act, I think it was Ruth Bader Ginsburg who said, it's like getting rid of the umbrella because you're no longer getting wet, right? Because you're being protected by that. You're removing the protection of that. We removed this Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, right? Where you no longer have to, where gerrymandering actually is allowed. And we saw in Tennessee specifically, Tennessee has 9 congressional districts, and one of them was a majority minority district, which says if you were to put this type of people together who are minorities, it could create one specific district. And so these states had to create these majority minority districts. As soon as we got rid of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, they split Memphis up into 3 different areas. So there was a predominantly black represented area of Memphis that actually got broken up into 3 different areas to water down that vote. And so what happens when these things happen, when we were moving forward, we were progressing to the ideals of, the perfect system that we wanted to have, and now we're rolling things backwards. What we're seeing is not hurting the people we think are hurting. We're targeting Black and minority communities. We're targeting women. We're targeting Muslims, right? But what happens is hate has no boundary. And when we do these things, it will eventually come for you. And the only people who because things are good for people today, but eventually it will not be good for you, because when they talk about it, they aren't talking to you. When you see the stock market is on the rise and you see all these things happening, they're not talking to you. They're the few people who own all these assets that are making the money off of there. So what I will say to that is that while things are good today, we need to make sure it stays good for you. And for those who it's not good for, we need to make it better for you so that you're in that good.
I love it. And I think that, to kind of close this conversation up, because I think that it's been amazing, and you mentioned RBG. I am not necessarily one of those people that has like quotes hung up everywhere. I'm not a live, laugh, love household. But I remember it was during COVID. I was working at City Council at the time, and I went to Ross, I think it was, and they had like an RBG canvas, and it's like one of the things that I have hung up because it like made me cry at a Ross aisle. And I have it in front of me, and it says, "Fight for the things you care about, but do it in a way that will lead others to join you." And it's by RBG. And I remember like seeing that and thinking like, that's what we absolutely need to do. And I applaud both of you all for fighting for the things that you care about in a way that's leading others to join you too. And so I hope that you guys both have enough people joining you to the polling location to make Texas a voting state, because I 100,000,000,000,000,000,000,000% agree with you. We are not red. We just don't want to vote. And I think the biggest complaint that I have about the Democratic Party is that we need to stop looking for the perfect candidate, and we need to look for the perfect approach, which is just getting blue dots in seats. So I applaud both of y'all for taking the initiative to do that, to be the face, to be at the front line. It is not easy. It is emotionally taxing. It is absolutely an isolating thing that you both are going through. And I love that you guys are going through it together. And I mean, we're going to be rooting for you all.
Thank you.
I mean,
Thank you.
it's
Right.
I'm just saying it's important. We're at such a crossroads right now, with technology, with democracy. As you said, people are talking about getting rid of women's right to vote. And even if we can't change that right now, they're trying to lead that in a conversation so that in 20, 30 years, it is a conversation. And that should be something, as just a culture, as a country, we just cannot say women are equal. People are equal. And if you do not have an equal right to vote, then you are not seen equally in the eyes of the government.
Right. Right.
Excellent. Well, I want to say we have a little bit of time left, but if you wanted to plug your information, go ahead and how can people support you on this journey, Justin or Matthias?
My website is votemathiasearly.com. I've got TikTok, Instagram. I'm trying to get more out on social media, but any politician will tell you to donate, volunteer, and really that's what we need to do, because the reason why we're at this stage in our democracy is because people have not get involved enough. People come to me all the time. Oh, I don't like voting because it's just, two bad options. Well, your good option was during the primaries. Your good option, you should have fought more for, because your voice is still your voice. Yes, your voice is at the ballot box, but everything you do up until that point is your power. Yeah. So yes, please go to vote.com.
Thank you,
Justin. Yeah.
And for me as well, you can reach me at votejustinEarly.com. And it's kind of funny. I have TikTok and Facebook and Instagram and Blue Sky and X, and I've got a better social media presence than he does. Ha 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 ha.
We were anti-social media family before we.
Yeah, we weren't a big social media family. I was lucky and privileged to have somebody on my team who was very apt with social media, do a lot of work with it there. So we have a lot of things out there, and you see both of those together, right? We do a lot of things together because our districts overlap. District 31 for the federal house is larger. I have 7 different counties. So that's Williamson, Bell, Burnett, Coryell, Hamilton, Lampasas, and Mills counties. And Matthias primarily is with all within Williamson County. And the majority of his district is within mine. There are a couple of cities outside of there, but all the cities that are in House District 20 are inside of District 31. And so what we're trying to do here is get people out to understand who we are, to know our names, and just to see us. We are privileged to have people out there volunteering with us, so we need more volunteers and we need more dollars, because what happens with those dollars is it gets us our name in front of other people to see that there's somebody out here fighting for them. A lot of people get disenfranchised because politicians ask for money. Some ask for money every day. We're not trying to do that, but we're trying to let you know that every dollar that you donate to us goes to voter outreach. It goes to our flyers, our pamphlets, and we're both privileged to have other additional groups looking at us and trying to help us out as well. So again, you can reach me at votejustinEarly.com, and all my social media handles are at votejustinEarly.
Vote early for Earlies.
Vote early for the Earlies. Yes.
I love it. Y'all have such a great branding name. I'm so happy for both of y'all. This is exciting. And we will definitely be keeping a close eye on both of y'all's races and wishing you both the best. Cannot echo what you both said anymore. Every donation truly does help, especially when you are doing the grassroots. You are making sure that you are doing this for the people, with the people, and we need people dollars. You need neighbor dollars. And so definitely we need to encourage our listeners, go look them up on their websites and on their social media pages. Go see how you can best support them. And we can't wait to see what success brings you guys come November.
Thank you. One last thing on that. We both have committed that we don't take corporate PAC money, and we both committed that we're not taking APAC money. We don't want any of that. We want to be beholden to our voters. And so that's who we want to make sure that we're representing, and no big corporations are going to control us. So
we love it. We have politicians out there that are still willing to say we're not kissing rings and licking boots. And in Texas, that means a lot here. So love to see it.
Exactly.
Well, I can't say much. I'm a Spurs. I have my Spurs Barbie. We're a little.
No, I see that.
We're still in mourning, okay?
Yeah, well, I'm a Mavs fan, and I still can't talk about Luka without crying. So.
Oh yeah.
Man, you were done dirty by that one. So I'll give.
It's Brunson came from the Mavs. Texas gave New York Brunson.
Yeah, he left here to go there, and it was like, and he kept saying it too. I was like, no, we cannot. Brunson was ours first. We had him first.
Texas sold out Texas.
I mean, again, it's very poetic how art imitates life sometimes. So
those owners in Dallas are on something different, I gotta say. But thank you both for being on the Two Texas Tees podcast. Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Matthias. All right, so that will be.
And bless you, Matthias.
And bless you.
I saw you, and I was like, oh, I can't.